over.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we call to order our agenda review meeting. And if you let the roll show, everybody's here, city attorney, city manager, and members of the commission, with the exception of Mr. Alcantara. Last week, I think it's appropriate that I mention this to you. Last week, when we left, last meeting when we left, I went downstairs, so we missed you at the agenda review. He said, I don't plan on making those, I don't agree with it. I said, sir, they're scheduled meetings, and that was all that was said. So as far as I'm concerned, he's not excused. It's an unexcused absence until the commission, I guess Wednesday night, we can discuss that or whatever else. It's not meant to be whatever, but if you just refuse to come, then that's an unexcused absence, okay? If you'll stand for a pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll move on through. I have a solid invocation this evening, approval of minutes. Speak up if you want, we don't, and I'll kind of go through this public forum. First, nothing on the consent agenda tonight, but first item on public hearings, this is the rehearing on the zoning request for 1.46 acres of land, the intersection of Dewberry Avenue and Providence Boulevard. Came this floor, this is a zoning request only. So we keep our comments to the zoning request, I hope.
Who owns that? Is it all by one person, or is there a bunch of individual homes?
No, this is the,
This is different,
Providence
there's several
Blvd.
different
Oh, I'm
traffics.
on the wrong one, the next one, sorry.
Pardon me?
I'm on the wrong one.
All right.
Oh,
Number,
it's
oh,
next to the
we
7-Eleven.
don't know.
no, that's not.
The next one.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes, you may.
I just want to remind everyone who's had any ex parte communication, whether it be a phone call, whether it be an email, a letter or whatever, you need to make that known.
If you will remind us at the beginning too, so we can get that out the way, whatever.
You wanted to
Because
do that?
we've all gotten, I think, a couple emails and that. And I had one phone call, well, I forget, whatever you personally got involved. Item number B is amending comprehensive plan, capital improvement elements for second and final reading. Anything new or anything new on that?
No, sir.
Hey, my only question on that one is if you guys are projecting like 120,000 people in Deltona down the road, but your fees stay at $150,000, what you're bringing off of the fees for people building. If you have 120,000, don't you think the fees would be going up? Your impact fees?
I'm going to answer for that, Commissioner. It's recommended every 5 years to review your impact fee schedule. And so, we just passed the one this year, so 5 years from now we should look at that, and then that would track with the increase in population, so that you're trying to get those as close as possible with each other.
I just noticed that 150 stayed the same and everything else was going up.
Yeah, well, we put a recommendation in there on the adoption of the ordinance for the impact fee schedule every 5 years to revisit that and make sure that it's trending up with it.
Commissioner, unless I don't understand, Chris, the impact fee revenue each year doesn't track with the population. It tracks with the construction, the incremental increase in the population. So if that increase year to year remains relatively constant over time, your annual
So
revenue.
that's based off that 3% or that 2%?
That's a one-time shot
On impact fees.
so if the growth from year to year is relatively constant.
Then you're saying your impact fees would be?
Yeah, your revenue will stay the same, although ultimately your population will be higher. Am I saying that right, Chris?
Right, and the only thing is it's presumed that increase in population means increase in impacts. So you want to make sure that
Right.
you get your impact fee as close to potential impacts that would be occurring with the greater population.
Basically, it's incremental growth, or incremental revenue associated with growth.
Okay.
Okay, the next one is C, this is the future land use map amendment application. This, I think, Commissioner, you had a question about southeast corner intersection, Norman and Saxon.
Yes, there's a bunch of residential lots. Are they owned by one person? Or
They're under unified ownership.
They're already, okay.
Now they are.
They were purchased.
So this is one also, we've gotten some emails on this one also.
Yes, and I want to hand this out. This is a letter that I received like a couple hours ago from an attorney who represents Mr. and Mrs. Charles Pimenta, who own a home adjacent to those assemblage of parcels. And I just want to hand that
That's
out.
the house in question on Saxon.
Yes.
Okay, this is new information, Commissioner, so I guess we can read it in the break prior to the event.
Which house is this one?
It abuts the 9 parcels that were assembled. On this letter, it says it was hand-delivered and emailed to the mayor and members of the city commission. I do not know if anybody received this on Friday, which is the date of the letter, but I received it a couple hours ago, and so I'm handing it now.
Oh, hand deliver an email to Joyce Rafferty. So Joyce may have gotten it,
They delivered it today.
Yeah.
but they didn't.
I
hand
stamped
deliver
it
anything.
in, yeah, you can see where it's stamped in.
Okay, we'll look at this in the break, but this actually would go with item 9C.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Can they give us an idea which one of these properties it is?
It's right there.
Yes.
If you look at, yes.
Yeah,
that-
right.
It's on
that's
the
the
back.
one.
It's on the letter.
Oh, it is,
And-
okay,
and-
okay, thank you.
We'll discuss some of the concerns, I guess, when we get downstairs, so they
It's
have
also
an
got a-
opportunity to hear all that.
Can I ask a question, Mayor? And I'm going to voice this downstairs as well, but was that home part of the original collection of homes? Was that part of the original grouping? Was it, in other words, when that plot was assembled, was that one also asked? Because it's got a for sale by owner sign on it.
Right, there was, of the homes that were adjacent to each other, there's a house next to that is in disrepair, has a board over the window.
Yes, I saw that.
And then there's a house next to that with an orange colored roof. That was one that they were trying to add to the assemblage. So allegedly, they've added both of those in the assemblage, the one with the board and that one with the orange roof. This is the house just past it on the south side of Saxon, where the old alignment of Saxon is, where that right-of-way is, and it sits the highest point on the hill. And then there's that old right-of-way of Saxon right there.
But that wasn't, that you know of, wasn't part of the assemblage?
Correct.
Okay.
I guess best we talk, I've got some information I can share with you on that. but
Yeah, I just wanted that.
Downstairs.
I'll say that down.
This is just zoning too, right?
Yeah, this is just, yeah,
Comprehensive
future land
plan.
use, this is a future land use map amendment. That'd be first, right? Then they'd
Yes,
have
sir.
to come back later for zoning and
Yes,
later for building it. So this is just a future land use map.
Yeah, so that's okay with that one.
And then item D is declare certain property surplus. You had a list of that stuff. That's accomplished. Well, there's a whole list of it in there, stuff that we.
I'm just going to have some questions on that, but I'll save that for downstairs.
Okay. Item E, this is a request to locate a shed on the property. If you looked at the pictures, I mean, there's plenty of pictures there, plenty of, I guess it's a judgment call on us, but as I understand variances, they have to have some justification, some
Hardship.
issue, hardship, but I would.
They're counting the slope of the land. as
Well, I know,
partial
that's
land.
we'll find out downstairs when staff gives a report on that, but that was the one that was coming up.
And I'll make the same comment down there that I made up here. As far as, we're looking at property lines now, one thing we discussed is property lines, fences around lakes and all this.
Yeah.
That's property lines being too stringent, so.
Okay.
Well, that was my argument, is the city ever gonna need to get through there?
I think we should bring all these up so that,
Area, so-
so both of them will hear it down there, but yeah, those are the questions coming to mind right away.
It's not a nice.
If you get an easement vacation like you do on some properties, but let's talk about that downstairs. On this budget transfer grant funds for community block grant, I don't know if you've got questions on that, the standard, just moving along around. Then we go to no old business, new business.
Hey, Michael, I got a question back on that. Why is there leftover money?
Timing the parks projects, that they were already identified as projects they wanted to do, but then you had to spend in a certain time period. So this is to spend in this current fiscal year.
But there was more than park projects on there.
There's NSP in here as well for the remainder of those NSP dollars, but this is primarily for the parks project as well, to finish off those parks.
Wasn't there SHIP money in there too?
There is SHIP money as well, there's some housing money in there too.
Why is that not given out every year?
It is, I mean, there's been quite a bit of spending activity on the SHIP funding as well.
But we're still carrying some over.
Right, we do. I mean, as we get the applications in, as we process them, we try to spend them as fast as we can.
Can I just make a comment on that? I mean, I've known several people that have, had hardships and looked at the SHIP funding and actually gone through the little meetings and everything, and in the end, decided that that commitment wasn't gonna work for them. So I'm gonna assume that, you start with a pool of eight people or 6 or 8 people, and then, you have an allocated amount of money and people drop off at one point. So I understand where there's some variation for not dedicating all the funding in 1 year, because I know of 2 people that sat through it and decided that they just couldn't commit to that. So that might be where.
You're exactly right, because staff has, just to make it easy, $10,000, that's $100,000 we got in there. These are not the right figures, obviously. But if we get 10 people in here, you don't want to get 15 people in here, and then you don't have the money for somebody that's gone through the rigmarole, so they try to spend it, and then somebody drops out or quits or whatever else, that extra money, they got to look for new people to go through the whole process again, which takes time. That's what the carryover is for. I don't believe we've...
Why don't you do alternates and then they're first get dibs on next year's?
Because people are buying houses or repairing houses, and if you get their hopes up that they qualified, and then you run out of money, it's, they have other options they might
And
not
do you,
do, so.
do you at some time
Anyway.
not have enough applicants? And, is that, or is there a surplus of applicants, or is it just?
There's
very-
usually a surplus of
That's good.
applicants, but sometimes it's been the funding source. Like 1 year for SHIP, we got $0. That was hard to spend that. 92,000 another year, 98,000. And it sounds like a lot of money, but it's really not when it comes to home repair. So we have in our local housing assistance program a preference towards very low and low to address the greater need, the people that can't afford the home repair.
And in regards to SHIP, it's the state Sadowski Trust, and for a while, the state was using that trust fund to balance the budget and was pretty much rating it. And I remember I was on one of the first committees that said either, shut down SHIP or keep the funding in there, don't start rating it. And then I think they had some sort of a settlement where they had to then put money in there, and then we received a bigger bump because of that, because of the settlement from the year, right? That there was
Correct.
nothing.
Absolutely.
So that brought about a bigger,
Right.
bigger chunk of money that was kind of, you didn't know you were gonna get until the end.
Right, and then as you astutely noted, when an applicant applies, you get an up to amount, what could be spent.
Right.
But then it's also based on the cost estimate, what the repairs are, and then whether they stay in the program too, because it's a two-way program.
How many applicants a year do you think?
Well, we've got the waiting list, but we would probably qualify and spend on about 20 to 25 a year.
And then how many people apply?
Oh, you can get as more than 50 to 60, in a year and make an application. There's a lot of need over 33,000 units,
Okay.
All right, item number B then, 11B, is establish the form of content certification petitions for the charter.
Oh,
Oh,
you
what
skipped
about
11A. You skipped A.
What did I say?
2 members to
Oh,
ordinance
I'm
review.
sorry. Well, yeah, that's charter review committee. This is Commissioner Alcantara's appointment, is it not?
And
And
mine.
Suplas.
And yours? Oh, yeah, 2 of them.
And it's-
Okay, you guys have, well,
Yeah, I'll make my
And-
ordinance.
you do
And it's
yours.
ordinance review committee.
Yeah.
Who heads that up?
We do.
Yeah, the only thing and this is going out to all you guys too, I spoke with the lady who resigned, who moved to Georgia. And she said she enjoyed her time, very diverse, good things came up. Her only concern was that they only got to look at whatever we sent them. So being that they're on the ordinance review committee and they know all the ordinances and they would like to make some changes to some other ones, they're not allowed. Is there any way to get it where that group, if they see anything, can then send something back up to us and say, hey, we have concerns on this? Because that was her only, She did it for 2 years for me.
Commission policy when we created the board, because it could run amok and just go into all kinds of areas that we're not ready to address and set our agenda. So we said specifically we would direct them what ordinances to review. So if we just let them go through all the ordinances in the city, we'd spend, I mean, they could come in with 50 changes that are minor, but would take a lot of time.
But I would argue that they're the experts. You know what I mean?
No,
I mean,
they're the
Well,
people
that-
we
this
appointed to review an
Right,
ordinance
which-
before it comes to us for any.
Right, I know the lady that was on for me,
Right.
she went through them all, you know what I mean? So she said she would love to be able to make suggestions on some other ones, but it's never allowed. So how do you get it? I mean, they're volunteering their time.
They could have petitioned the commission to ask to review another one, and we would have to give them.
So they just gotta come through one of us to get us to do it.
No, not one of us, the commission, and say, listen, the last thing you tasked us with was ordinance 102.77. We finished that. We'd like to look at 102.79 because it has some things. We then would say, yes, go ahead, or no, that's it. Let us handle this first. Because many of the ordinances are cross-referenced, especially in some departments, planning and zoning and development. There's a whole lot of ones, and you would get, we would not want them to feel that we weren't taking their work seriously, so they could come up with hundreds of ideas that we should look over. So that was why we, originally the argument was just set it at our direction. I don't think there's any objection to them bringing something to us. They find a glaring error. Can we go into this further? I think we.
Is that being told to them or no?
Well,
Yeah,
that's-
we've
we're
had
just talking
meetings with
now.
them and told them that, suggest ordinances to the commission, because the way it's set up now, the only way, as the mayor noted, the only way that, we can work on an ordinance is through the commission direction.
Right.
Yeah, we could change our policy, but I think it'd be safer that we keep them in one area, because otherwise they'd be popping all over. I mean, there's hundreds of ordinances, but I see your point.
I just told her I would relay the message because
Yeah,
it sounded good to me.
it's a good idea, but I think they should bring it to us, okay?
Mayor, I'd
so
like to
you're-
speak on that, please, with my card up.
I'm sorry.
I agree that, I think that the purpose of having an ordinance review committee is to involve the residents and get their view on issues in the city. And I think that if there's an issue that they feel strongly about as a group, then I really feel like they should be able to bring that forward, whether it be, I don't know, randomly sheds or whatever, other items. If they really feel that strongly about it, I think that they should be able to bring that forward. And I think that we, as a commission, owe them the respect and the, I think we just owe that to the residents to address those issues.
I agree.
But it's all,
But the way we set it up was that they.
right, and I didn't
They'd
agree
have
with
to
that
come
in the
back.
beginning, to
Okay,
set it
well.
up to only solidify it like that. But I understand you don't want to be all over the board, but I feel like to get resident input, if there's an issue that they feel, pretty much unanimously that they would like to address, it should be taken into consideration by the commission.
But yeah, and
at
that's
least
what I
given
just
them
said,
the
all they
okay.
gotta do is bring it to us through Chris and
Right.
say, hey, there's concerns about such and such, have at it. I don't think any of us have turned that down, because that saves us a lot of legwork.
But they didn't know that. That's what I'm telling
Well,
you. They
no,
didn't know
because
that.
nobody's ever brought that to us, but they've only been told the things that the commission directs them to do. James, you?
Well, actually, at the last commission meeting, there was this dialogue,
We did
and
talk
then
about
you did talk about it as to that you could have the committee provide input to Chris, who then would then bring it to our attention.
Exactly.
So that was going to be the
Probably not much
process.
different what we said tonight, but that's it.
Tim
All right,
Nielsen asked for input.
You're good on your appointments, and we'll have to hear from Commissioner Alcantara later. Petitions on the city charter is next. We worked out a draft, or.
Did you see Amy's email?
I did, and I had, in fact, I have exactly, this is scary, Jamie, oh, he's here. He'll die if you come over here and look at mine, because I had exact same things or one of the things you pulled out, marked on here as something we need to talk about. But we can talk about that downstairs. Yeah, we'll do it downstairs. But anyway, I've got questions on that too. Am I lost again? Nope. C is obviously the issue of the resignation of Becky Ross of the Ross Law Firm. I'm not going to have any comments on that now. We'll talk about that downstairs. City attorney comments, city manager, anything special tonight?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Two things. I sent a number of emails to the commission over the last few days. Has to do with the installation of sidewalks on Timberlake. I believe there may be public comment tonight on that issue. Okay, so I wanted to bring it to the commission's attention. And then also, as a reminder, we are scheduled to have a special city commission workshop, which is a continuation of the table meeting regarding our operating guidelines and meeting rules and procedures, and that was for Thursday, February 23rd at 5:30. And I do not know, depending on the discussions with the city attorney, whether we move that meeting.
I don't want to influence that, but yes, but we may, depending on how that last item shakes out, the commission will then decide whether we move that meeting or we add to that agenda. Yeah, 5:30 on Thursday, the 23rd.
You know what Thursday is, though, right?
What?
It's the duels.
The what?
So
Oh,
It's the
yeah.
duels
duels, what are you talking about?
at Daytona.
Races.
Races.
What's that got to do with that?
You can't get
Because that's like,
It's a once-a-year thing, so, I mean, that's what I said, why did we not, can we move it to Wednesday?
No, there was conflicts on Wednesday. We tried Wednesday.
Okay, I mean, let's just put that there.
can we do it the following week?
But, yeah.
I mean, we tried like heck to get a date in the month, and
We forgot
I
about
don't know,
races.
is there anybody go on plan it next week?
March something.
Okay. Yeah, so was it this weekend, is it 500 maybe? Okay, so you're going to bring it to workshop?
I just
Workshop
want-
sidewalks.
Well, I just want to remind everybody.
Yeah, city commissioner comments, anything special? Yes, ma'am? Well, I know you bring that up every time.
I mean, I can discuss this stuff downstairs. I just want to
All
make
right.
the commission aware of a few things that are going on.
Okay, I'm gonna probably bring it up later, but I thought I'd tell you guys privately because I don't wanna, I mean, I'm not gonna say anything that's illegal, but, former Commissioner Carl Carey's still in the hospital with a stroke. Did you guys all know that? I sent out information about it, but, he's resting comfortably, he's there. That's about all, I can really say right now, he's not accepting guests, visitors or anything like that. So if that's it, we're adjourned.
Thank you.